On February 2, 2026, Manila awoke to a headline that electrified the nation. Philippines redraws the map. News alerts buzzed, morning shows broke routine, and a new map, clear, bold, and unapologetic, flashed across every screen. The government had enacted the Maritime Zones Act, officially defining the nation's territory in the West Philippine Sea. In Makati, office workers huddled around tablets, tracing the new lines with pride. On the MRT, commuters exchanged looks of surprise and unity. This map was more than lines. It was a declaration of sovereignty, rooted in international law and the 2016 Hague ruling. For many, it was the moment they'd waited for, a formal legal stand against China's sweeping claims. The map showed the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, rejecting the shadow of the 9-dash line. The energy was palpable, from Malacañang to the farthest coastal villages. This wasn't just a policy. It was about the fish on Filipino tables, the fuel in their cars, and the pride in their hearts. The government drew a line, not with warships, but with the power of law. It was a calculated risk in a turbulent region. As the day unfolded, it was clear. This map marked the start of a new chapter in the nation's struggle for its rights. A chapter written with law, courage, and national resolve. The Philippines was no longer waiting for recognition. It was defining itself. The world was watching, and the message was unmistakable. The new Maritime Zones Act is not a call to arms, it's a declaration of truth. It transforms the 2016 Hague victory from an abstract win into binding national law. For years, the arbitral ruling was celebrated but distant. Now it's real, official, and enforceable. The act defines the Philippines' territorial sea, contiguous zone, and exclusive economic zone with precision. It asserts the country's right to legislate over its own waters, as guaranteed by UNCLOS. This is lawfare at its finest, using legal tools to assert sovereignty, not military might. The act empowers the Coast Guard, protects fishermen, and gives companies a clear framework to explore resources. It's a public rejection of China's 9-dash line and a stand for a rules-based order. The new map counters decades of false narratives with clarity and confidence. The Philippines is saying, "This is our sea. This is the law." The world now sees a nation standing firm, not just for itself, but for the principle that right, not might, defines boundaries. The Maritime Zones Act is a masterstroke, turning international law into national strength. It's a message to every nation. The Philippines' maritime entitlements are not up for negotiation. The law is now the shield of the nation. The new map and law ignited a digital wildfire. In West Philippine Sea, ice hours trended for days. Young Filipinos shared the map with pride, declaring, "This is our legacy." The map became a symbol, a rallying cry for a generation reclaiming its voice. But the deepest impact was felt in coastal communities. In Zambales, Mang Jun, a fisherman, saw hope in the new lines. Hope for protection, for the right to fish where his family always had. For these communities, the West Philippine Sea is life itself. Years of intimidation had brought fear and hardship. Now, the law felt like a promise. In Palawan, fishermen gathered around radios, hearing that their government stood with them at last. The map became a shield, a source of strength. The law connected international victories to daily struggles, validating the resilience of those on the front lines. Filipino fishermen, long the quiet defenders of sovereignty, now had the nation's backing. The Maritime Zones Act turned their struggle into a unified national stand. Their defiance became a collective roar, echoing across the waves. The nation was rallying, not just in policy, but in spirit. The Philippines' bold move is grounded in decades of international law, not reckless bravado. The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, gives coastal states a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. The new map simply reflects what UNCLOS guarantees. The legal battle peaked in 2016, when the Philippines challenged China's 9-dash line at The Hague. The tribunal ruled China's historic claims had no legal basis, and the Philippines' rights were affirmed. It was a landmark victory for the rule of law over force. Yet for years, the ruling remained on paper, unleveraged, as intimidation at sea continued. The Maritime Zones Act changes everything, domesticating the Hague victory into Philippine law. Now, the nation isn't waiting for recognition, it's codifying its rights. The law is the final step, turning a historic win into present-day reality. The Philippines is done waiting. It's acting. The world sees a nation standing on the firm ground of law. The message sovereignty is not just claimed, it's codified. The future is now in the Philippines' hands. The West Philippine Sea is more than water, it's the nation's future. Its rich marine life feeds millions and sustains coastal communities. Beneath the waves lie vital oil and gas reserves, key to energy independence. Chinese intimidation has long stalled exploration, threatening food and energy security. The sea is also a cradle of Filipino culture and history, woven into folklore and tradition. Protecting these waters is about survival, identity, and heritage. Every act of harassment is an attack on the nation's soul. The new law is a declaration: the Philippines will not stand by as its future is plundered. This is a fight for the right to exist as a proud, self-sufficient maritime nation. The stakes are nothing less than the country's survival and dignity. Every day, the legal battle becomes a tense reality on the West Philippine Sea. Filipino fishermen face harassment, water cannons, shadowing by Chinese ships, and constant intimidation. The Philippine Coast Guard, outnumbered but undeterred, documents these encounters, marking territory and escorting fishermen. Their mission: resist, record, and assert rights, not provoke conflict. A recent standoff at a Ayungin Shoal saw a Philippine vessel blocked and blasted by water cannons, yet the crew held their course. The world watched as video of the incident sparked outrage and admiration. These encounters are where law meets steel, and resolve is tested daily. Filipino crews fight not with weapons, but with presence and persistence. Each voyage is a message. This is our water. We will not be intimidated. Their bravery embodies the nation's stand. The struggle is asymmetric, but the spirit is unbreakable. The Coast Guard's courage is a living testament to the Philippines' resolve. The world is witnessing a David standing firm against Goliath. At the heart of the conflict is China's 9-dash line, a vague, sweeping claim to nearly 90% of the South China Sea. This line, first drawn in 1947, lacks clear coordinates and legal foundation. China argues historic rights, but history is shared. Filipino and Vietnamese fishermen have long sailed these waters. More importantly, UNCLOS, which China ratified, overrides any vague historic claims. The 2016 Hague Tribunal was clear: any historic rights were extinguished by UNCLOS. The 9-dash line's ambiguity is a tool for Beijing, justifying any action it chooses. But the world, and the Philippines, are calling the bluff. The new law is a formal rejection of this fiction. The Philippines stands for clear rules, not expansionist myths. The era of vague claims is over. The law now draws the line. The Philippines wields powerful evidence: the 1734 Murillo Velarde map. Commissioned by Spain, crafted by Filipinos, it's the earliest accurate map of the archipelago. It names and depicts Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys as part of the Philippines. This map rebuts China's claims of ancient exclusive ownership. Presented at The Hague, it proved these areas were never terra nullius. The map's return to the Philippines was a national triumph. Today it stands as a symbol of identity and a cornerstone of the legal claim. The Filipino connection to the West Philippine Sea is centuries old, meticulously documented. The Murillo Velarde map draws the lines of history with undeniable authenticity. The past speaks clearly. These waters have always been part of the Philippines. The Maritime Zones Act bridges international victory and national policy. It operationalizes the Hague ruling, giving the Philippines the legal tools to defend and develop its maritime resources. The dispute is now about law versus force. By grounding its actions in UNCLOS and the arbitral award, the Philippines champions the rules-based order. This principled stand attracts global support and reassures partners. The law signals the Philippines as a reliable, stable ally in the region. It encourages freedom of navigation and resists coercion. The story is one of hope, a nation choosing law over aggression. The Philippines is drawing its own map, defining its future with legislation, not conflict. This act inspires smaller nations facing similar challenges. By standing firm on law, the Philippines defends not just its territory, but the idea of a just world. The beacon is lit. The world is watching.